Good evening, students. I am Dr. Kamala, Assistant Professor of Political Science, New Government Degree College, Serilingampalli, Rangareddy District, Telangana. So, yesterday we have discussed about Manu's political ideas. So, today we are going to uh, discuss about the other remaining part. So we have already discussed about the who is Manu and during which period he belonged, and not only that, the Manusmriti, which is the oldest literary work of Hindu society, and it is also called by different names like Manusmriti, Manu Samhita, right? So we have, and not only that, we have also discussed that in Manusmriti there are nearly about 200 and 2685 shlokas. Actually, these shlokas are related to rules and regulation for the good conduct of the individual, as well as to make the ideal society or the ideal state. So and not only that, we have discussed about different parts that have been in the Manusmriti, like it contained 12 parts. In that we have discussed about the origin of the state, and the origin of different caste systems, and 5 Mahayajnas and appointments, and the food which we have to take, and not only that, Vanaprasthanam. Then we have discussed about civil disputes, then about the taxation system, and how the criminals used to be interrogated, or the witnesses how they are interrogated, that we have discussed, and duties of the wife and husband, and property distribution, and in emergency what we have to do, and also apart from that we have also discussed about sins and conventions, and lastly we have also discussed about enlightenment of soul. Do you remember all these things? Because see, every day we teach the topic, so it is your duty to read the text. Okay, whenever you read the text, obviously you will get the uh, collection of points that we uh, uh, have discussed in the class. Then you will be able to easily remember, right? So that is not a problem. Okay, and we also have discussed about the how the origin of state came into existence. Like earlier it was a state of nature, and it was very uh, very which was filled with very fear among the individuals, because there was no security to their life and property. So in that situation there existed a law of jungle, right? Do you remember the law of jungle? So in order to put an end to the law of jungle, because this situation had made them insecure feeling. So what happened, the people have requested Lord Brahma, or praised Brahma, who is the creator of this universe, and in turn the Brahma has created the king, so that the king will look after, the king will be the representative of the god, and he will rule the state. So this is how the state came into existence in the form of divine, right? And also we have discussed about the seven organs, right? So the king plays a prominent role in protecting the state or the country, and the ministers will assist the king, right? And the territory, because see, territory, within the territory the king will rule over its people, and he will have a treasury. And how the treasury will be filled? Yes, by through taxes, right? And other trade and business will be conducted in the state. That's how the treasury of the kingdom will be filled. Then it will have an army, because army plays a pivotal role in protecting the country. And allies, yes, we require allies also to have a cordial relations with other states, right? Now we have also discussed about varna system, right? Varna, because see, we have the social stratification based on caste, right? So they defined under this system, Brahmins, yeah, their profession is priest, and they will be good teachers as well as intellectuals also. And kshatriyas, their profession is to wage war, right, and to become the kings or the administrators. Vaishyas, their role is the farming, right, and also the traders. And shudras, the working section, or they are also considered as laborers, right? So we have already discussed about this. Now today we will discuss about what are the duties of the king. Okay, now the duties of the king are to perform five important functions according to Manu. So the first one is Dandaniti, and the second one is taxation, and the third one is justice and judicial system, and the fourth one is interstate relations, and lastly morality and religion. So these are the five most important functions according to Manu, which the ruler or the king has to do his duties, right? And not only that, he, as you know, compared the king with the Ashtadikpalas, the eight gods who are there in this universe. Like, for example, the god Indra, who actually showers the rain on within the territory of the country, right? So in that way, how the rain showers, so also the wealth should also shower. Okay, the wealth should also shower. So he is comparing the king with the Lord Indra, and not only that, he is also one of the Ashtadikpalas is Lord Surya, right? Or the Lord Sun. Early morning, what through his rays he wakes up all the people of the country, right? So through his rays, how the water is evaporated, so also the king should collect what justified tax system, and he should lay the justified tax system. That system should be maintained by the king according to Manu. And not only that, the Vayudeva, in the sense Vayu, in the sense air, right? Now this air, how the occupies how the world, so also now without air we cannot live. The whole world is encompassed with air, we can say. Now, so also the king should have a spy system, that he should observe each moment in that country. So, like Vayudeva, like Indra, like Surya, he should have the powers. and one of the god Yamadharma Raju we call. So how Yamadharma Raju will means do the what you know how he examines the enemies and the friends. So how he balancedly gives the punishment to them. So he gives punishment without any partiality. Now those who do illegal things or the bad things will go to hell, and those who do the good things, that they will go to heaven. So even our grandparents or some elder people will say to have moral and ethical values, right? So because see, if we have good values only, then only we'll have a peaceful mind, right? If we have some disturbance in our mind, or doing illegal things or corrupt things, or some bad if we have some bad habits, then we don't have that much peaceful environment in our life, right? So that is how, so good and bad is differentiated by Lord Yamadharma Raja. And not only that, and how the moon will become, how the moon is controlling the universe, so also the king should also focus his light on its people, right? And the lord the fire lord, the lord of fire also, how he burns the everything. If some sparkle of fire is spread in one place, then obviously it will spread it within the seconds. So even the king should also, those people who are those ministers who are bad in his administration, should fire them immediately. That is how the Manu is giving instructions or allotting the duties to check all these kings, and how the Earth, Bhudevi we will call in Hindu. So Bhudevi, how the all how the Bhudevi is protecting the environment, so also the king should also protect everyone's life in this world. So he is comparing the king with the Ashtadikpalas, right? So they are actually, without them we cannot survive. For example, if sun is not coming, or if the moon is not coming, then how can we will be surviving? So also the king should like this. Without king, the state cannot be run, or the administration cannot be carried out, right? Now we will discuss about the Dandaniti. Now see, in this cartoon, I think you are able to see about this stick, right? See, when you see the stick, obviously the opposite person will get fear, because he will feel that that is going to hit me, and he will immediately stop doing if he is doing any wrong thing, right? So in Hindu polity laid considerable emphasis on Dandaniti. Now Danda means punishment. See, even small kids also, if they do some wrong things, then if we shout at them, they will feel that mama will give some punishment, right? Or if we show our hand also, they will be alert, right? If even the teacher controls the students with the help of stick, right? So when you see the stick, obviously you will fear that there will be a punishment. And here punishment and niti means law, okay, law. So Danda Niti refers to the laws that are to be followed to punish a person for the crime committed by him or her, and also in the proper administration of the state affairs. See, in olden days, when always sleeping, Danda used to awake it seems, because of the fear of danda, people never used to do criminal things at all, and they never used to even theft from any house also, because danda used to watch, because everyone will sleep in a deep sleep, but danda keeps on awaken, right? Because danda gives the person punishment. According to Manu, human nature is evil and corrupt. See, by nature we have some evil and corrupt mentality, and the and he believed that morals alone would bring about discipline, at least out of fear of punishment. See, when we have a punishment, the fear of punishment, then only we will think once or twice. Otherwise, what happens if we don't fear, then we will do all immoral things also. There might be chances, right? So by nature, human being uh, his mind will be in the form of evil and corrupt, but by see our grandparents will tell us moral stories in order to become a good individual, right? And in order to become a responsible person. So that is why morals are preached not only by our elder people, but our teachers also, right? In when they tell the stories about the morality, then they will say that what the good will win the evil, right? Every time, in every movie or in every story, we see that the good wins over the bad, right? So that we should remember. And morals are very much essential to be maintained, and we believe that danda keeps the people in a society within their sphere of activity. This is very much essential. See, everyone has freedom, but that freedom should be within the sphere of his activity, right? It should not cross over his limits, otherwise it will become an in what a fear to the other person, right? And protects weak people from arbitrary activities of the strong. See, what if weak people, if we take the weak and the strong people, the weak cannot fight against the strong people. Sometimes it happens in a ruthless manner, right? So we should so it protects weak from arbitrary activities of the strong, and danda helps the king in the preservation and promotion of dharma or righteousness. See, everyone has to maintain the dharma, which is very much essential for doing right things at a right time. Now we'll talk about the treasury or the taxation. Now here Manu talks about the state finances. He empowered the king the right to collect the taxes for providing protection of the people or protection to the people. See, very much essential, because even today also we have certain taxes that are imposed by the both central and the state government. So we have to pay the taxes in order. In the olden days they used to, not only in the olden days but right now also, we have the protection from the government. So taxation was linked to the wage theory. Now he also mentioned it very clearly that the tax must be collected from both land as well as cattle. See, in those days cattle was considered as property. So on that property and on the land they used to collect it. And however, the percentage of tax on land and cattle was not less than 25% and 20% respectively. Now Here, Manu has advised the king that taxes should be levied, keeping in view the capacity of the subjects. See, all the subjects cannot be in a position to pay the taxes. So, based on their capacity, the subjects in the sense the people or the public. So, the people uh, depends on the capacity of the people and their occupation, right? So according to their occupation they have to pay the taxes, otherwise it is not required, or a minimal tax will be collected from the poor. So he also stated that if the subjects are overburdened with tax payments, so it would lead to great amount of frustration and discontentment among them, and would eventually result in national calamities. See, if the government goes on means collecting the taxes without keeping in view of the capacity of the subject, then there is a situation that frustrations and discontentment among the public may arise, and this will result in national calamity. So Manu advised the king that the entire amount collected through taxes must be used for welfare activities like helping in agriculture, promoting trade and industry, etc. See, welfare measures, see, in those days also, now today we are talking all modern states or welfare states, because, see, welfare is very much essential in every walk of our life, we can say. So, in those days also, welfare activities were given more importance. So, helping in the agriculture, now we have different policies to help the farmer, right? And promoting trade and industry. See, these are very much essential for the development of the country. Here, now we are going to talk about the justice and the judicial system. Now, Manu, in fact, was the earliest of the ancient political thinkers of India to have emphasized on the need for justice and proper judicial administration. So, the justice should be is that it should have justification without any injustice to anyone. Without any injustice to anyone. All should be treated equal in the eyes of law. See, here when he talks about justice, he had shown some what partiality towards Brahmins, that we will discuss now. So he claimed that a king cannot rule without justice. Now, justice, because it is his foremost duty to deliver the justice, right? He believed that a good ruler would always ensure quick and cheap justice, right? Cheap means cheapest cost, right? So would always ensure quick and cheap justice to needy and those who deserve it, right? So it is the foremost and important duty to deliver justice to the people. And Manu was of the opinion that the king must pay more attention to the entire judicial system. See, now he has to be an expert while giving the judgment, because that is very much important, right? In the olden days, the king used to have all the powers, like he used to exercise financial powers, judicial powers, legislative powers, right? But now, today, if we take, we have different ministers for different departments. But during ancient period, the king used to control all the departments, right? So he has to pay more attention to the entire judicial system, and he did not see. I have already told you that he did not support equal treatment to all castes in the society. So he had made a partiality to the upper caste sections of the society or upper social stratification of the society, and he expected the king to be well versed in dharma shastras, right, and other literature for the proper pronouncement of justice as per the well established customs and practices. See, different people have different customs and practices, so while delivering the judgment you should look after the dharma shastras and for the proper pronounce and other literary works that for the proper pronouncement of justice, right. And he also suggested corporal punishment and fines to the public. Now, interstate relations. Now, this is another important and significant issue discussed by Manu, was the interstate relations, and which was largely based on political expediency and established righteousness, right. So Manu was in favor of war under two conditions. So he said that when there is a threat one's kingdom, and secondly to expansion of territory. So see, there are two conditions for going for war. One, when someone is occupying our kingdom, for example our kingdom, then there will be a war. Otherwise, on the other hand, secondly, if the expansion of the territory, if we are going to occupy the other territory, then there will be a condition to wage war. So these are the two conditions where the king can go for war. One is a threat to one's kingdom, and the second is expansion of territory. See, this is what interstate relations. I would like to talk to your PR guy, public relations guy. Now, the primary duty of the king is to protect the kingdom and the people therein, and to destroy the enemy, right. See, if there is enemy, then we have to destroy. For this purpose, Manu suggested certain techniques which he called Chaturopaya. What is that technique? Chaturopaya. Now, what is Chaturopaya? They are conciliation. Now, what is conciliation? Do you have any idea? Here. No. Okay. Where it is a process of ending an agreement. Conciliation is a process of ending an argument, right, not an agreement, argument. Okay, the process of ending an argument, so that is called as conciliation. And the second one is dissension. Dissension is nothing but disagreement that leads to discord. Okay, disagreement that leads to discord. Now, what is discord? Something that is accepting as true. Okay, something that is accepting as true, right. Now, bribery and force. Okay, these are called as Chaturopaya. What are Chaturopaya? Conciliation. Conciliation is nothing but the process of ending an argument, right. If two parties are there, then there will be, if they have any clash, then they will have an argument both, right. So it is an ending process to an argument. And the dissension is nothing but it is disagreement that leads to discord, right. Bribery and force to tackle the opponents. Then Manu was in favor of the first one, conciliation, that is to put an end to the argument. Okay, and the last technique, that is force. See, if they are not listening by words, then we have to tackle by force, right? So he is in favor of the last technique, that is force. So he trusted the first one and the last one, that is favor. So he further stated that force is the last resort, that is the ending resort to achieve anything. Now here is, you can see the good, bad, don't know. So what is this good, bad? Yeah, morality and religion. See, every religion teaches us about good only, whether it is Hinduism, Muslim, Christianity, or Israel, or a Buddhist, or anyone else. See, every religion preaches us good only and teaches us about morality only. So the ancient Indian political thought gave great credence to the religious basis of human existence and acceptance of traditional morality, right? And Manu rejected cruelty and deceit. He emphasized on the rule of law and code of conduct to the Kshatriyas. See, rule of law is very much essential, not only in the ancient period, but also today also the rule of law and code of conduct plays a very, very important role. In those days, we have Manusmriti, which has coded the rules and regulation, but today we have Constitution, which is a written document of rules and regulations. So Manu, however, permitted a departure from such code of conduct in the interest of the king. So morality. So every every religion preaches us morality only, that we should know. So this is about the Manu and Manusmriti, or Manu's political and social view of in order to make an ideal state and ideal individual. So thank you. Tomorrow we'll discuss about another political thinker. Thank you so much.